Welcome back. You're joining us. This is 726 in Harrison, Arkansas, and we are visiting with Troy Burleson and Glenn Redding. They're part of the Men in Black, which you initiated. So tell our viewers what Men in Black is and what Men in Black does.
Men in Black is it's my business name. I used to do security with a lot of concerts, music festivals. Mm-hmm. In 1996, I got a call. That's when Men in Black became official. Anyway, we got a call from the amphitheater around Branson up in Black Oak, and they said, "We need your help." And I said, "Okay." And so I took a bunch of police officers and martial art instructors up, and I think we did CCR, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and Three Dog Night. It was a really good concert.
So that was a perk.
Yeah, they had some trouble. And so we dressed in black and did our business, and the lead singer of CCR afterwards, he said, "Who are you guys?" And I said, "We're nobody." He goes, "Oh no, you're somebody, you're Men in Black." And that kind of stuck ever since.
Okay.
That's how we got it there.
So you're a security team, basically.
More than that.
More than that?
More than that.
So maybe like superheroes?
We're a team that finds solutions for people who are in desperate ways.
So you're a forceful, I wouldn't say forceful, but you're action takers, and your logistics, and I'm trying to segue into what happened down in the Gulf. There's a hurricane, and it hit. It was devastating to a lot of people there. Bring us up to speed on how you were contacted for that.
I've been in the hurricane disaster response business since Katrina. Where did I get this mic?
Okay.
Oh.
How about a microphone with a big yellow cord?
There we go.
There we go. I got a call when Katrina happened and needing my services, and I went down to do a 3-day assessment and stayed there for 9 weeks.
Wow.
And started bringing teams of police officers down to help out. And we found something that they needed security, but the officers I brought down did much more than that. They started helping find solutions. We go into a lot of areas where there's not solutions sometimes just readily available. A lot of devastation, and everybody's in a little bit of a shock and stun. And so the people I bring down are the type of people who can see something and say, "I know how to fix it. I know how to get where we're going." And that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
So I usually mostly use police officers, and it's those police officers, though, who have dealt with a lot of adverse conditions, who stay very calm and they can think on their feet, and they've got a good heart. And so we're just not bringing people down there for their ability to be security, but for people who have a humanitarian heart.
So you're not there for security. You're there to solve a problem. And a hurricane is not really something that happens each and every week in a location. So it's overwhelming. It's an overwhelming situation.
But it's devastating for weeks after.
It is, and sometimes for years after, and maybe even decades after.
Yeah. So you were hired to come to help with clinics. Is that right? Or?
We do. We work for a company called Fresenius Kidney Care, and that's my primary client. And they need to be up and running quickly. And a lot of their staff gets affected, and they can't come to work. And so
I'm thinking power. There's no power. You need dialysis.
Power, water, supplies, gasoline, diesel, generators, food. And so we come in and establish a really secure environment, and then we start finding solutions to their needs. And we're going to get diesel to your generators. We're going to get generators for you. We're going to get food to you. We're going to get water. We're going to shuffle people and all the nurses and doctors and staff that come in from out of town to help out and assist. We're going to take care of them also. We're going to set up their trailer RV parks and compounds, and that's kind of what we do.
How does that sit with the local authorities? I could see where
have to remember the local authorities are affected also, and they're working around the clock for the people that are still left working. A lot of people are evacuated out, and some come back, some don't. It takes a while. So you have local authorities, maybe you have 25% of those people that have a house that's gone, and they're dealing with personal things. Local authorities are really glad that we're there.
Yeah.
Everywhere we go, we're thanked for being there.
Yeah. Well, I want to.
With the dialysis company, it's not just setting up a generator for the dialysis for the patients, but we bring in and set up generators for the nurses and the doctors, because if your home has no power, you're not going to want to come to work. You're going to want
Right.
to stay home. So we get little portable generators that they
So it
can
extends
take
to
home.
them, yeah,
We
okay.
bring in gas tankers. We gas up the nurses' cars and the doctors so they can go back and forth to the dialysis clinic. We help the patients with water. In Houston, as he's going to tell you, it was so bad down there, we had to go out and get the patients and bring them in by using like the ducts in Branson. They brought some of those in from
Wow.
other
Okay.
states.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
There's
company,
a lot of logistics and networking that has to go on for you to be able to know what resources to contact to get all of this accomplished.
A lot of our resources are contacted ahead of time, and we're on a priority for them. That should disaster happen, then they will serve us
Gotcha.
first. And we just kind of pull all the logistics together.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're looking at a picture there of is that a gas? Is that
That's
diesel
what-
or propane or what?
It's probably Billy hauling both, actually.
Okay.
They've got some separate tanks that they can haul gasoline and diesel, and that
Okay.
way they can download to cars or to gas
Now, was
pods.
this in Houston here, or was it that in?
no, that was in Naples, Florida.
Naples,
Oh, okay.
Florida.
And that's
So that's another
Bobby Braden
situation.
was with me there, and of course Troy, and we were separated throughout the whole state of Florida. But that was one of the command posts we set up. The gas tankers, when you have no power and the police are busy taking care of other problems,
Right, yeah.
some of the gangs in some of these rough areas want
Oh,
to
yeah.
hijack that gas truck because that's worth gold on
That's
the
worth
street.
money, yeah.
I bet.
So we do have to run security on those gas trucks and make sure they can get to each dialysis clinic
Yeah.
to fuel up the gas.
So you come into a certain area, and then you set up a command center
Or
Yes.
several.
or
Yeah.
several of them, and then we were talking before the show that Glenn was instrumental in. I mean, you got to have volunteers.
When I go make an assessment, sometimes it just continues to unfold by day, and more places. Some of our crew that was down in Houston, we had some of the high water vehicles. We brought in 10 high water vehicles in order to go rescue people in some of the suburbs of Houston, and but when I was going to say that. That picture is another. That was in Florida picture. We spread our high water vehicles out all over the states and
Yeah.
and things. So I'm not sure where I was going
Well,
when I looked at the picture.
probably distracted you with
It's
that
okay.
picture, but we can continue. I wanted to talk about your command center, and you're there, and your supplies start coming in. When the Puerto Rico thing happened, we'd watch news coverage, and it seemed like everything was just stagnated. Nothing was working. There was conflict between the local government and the mayors and all this stuff, and people were politically, going back and forth. What's the story from your perspective?
It turned out to be a priority of needs. The whole island was affected. Not enough gas, not enough diesel, no electricity. And then when those supplies started coming in for particular groups, like our group, that other people wanted those.
I bet they did.
They did. A lot of municipalities actually diverted a lot of our resources so
Okay.
that they could operate. And I think through work with FEMA and the EOC there, we were able to turn some of that around and get it coming back our way.
Okay.
But there was a one time 11,000 cargo containers on the shipping dock as there was an infamous news release of a mayor saying they had no supplies, right? And I was there watching her look at 11,000 cargo,
Wow.
and her people wouldn't get them off the dock.
Okay.
So it's
For whatever reason.
for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
okay.
They sat there for a long time.
Oh, my.
See, Harvey hit August the 25th. Troy had called me before then and said it's coming. And he said, we need to go down and get prepared. So we went down the 19th, Troy,
We did.
and started preparing for it to hit so we could do an evaluation, which Troy does right away with the people from Fresenius. And they ask for his input. What do you think we need to get started? because we've been going to these for years. We went to Ike, he went to Katrina, we went to Sandy in New York and New Jersey, so we're prepared to deal with it with all the Troy's experience and the people that we have. But between the 25th of August and the next one was the 10th of September, and then the 20th of September, that's 3 hurricanes in that short period. So we went from Houston down to Florida, covered that state, got the dialysis units up and running. And tell them about Miami. They were bringing people
I'm
in from out of the
curious,
country.
were you there during the hurricane then?
Yeah, sometimes we're there before the hurricane hits, and we can strategically get into places and be ready to set up. In the case of Irma hitting Florida, we decided not to go down on that small peninsula, but we didn't know where it was going to hit. So we stayed up in Pensacola and waited it out there. Some went to Savannah, Georgia. Some went to Pensacola to wait, so we can insert different directions.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, what was your question about Miami?
Well, when we got to Old Miami, we had one place set up in Perennia near Miami, and tell them about what we did there.
Well, we set a location up there, but we kept getting patients flown in from St. Thomas, which got hit really hard, and there was no way to serve them. So we flew all the patients in to southern Florida, and then we continued to serve them there, and we'd run them back and forth from the hotels to get to the dialysis, and then we would run gas trucks to all of the dialysis centers and fuel
Wow.
trucks and
So
food and
while,
water.
while we're doing that, we're watching the radar, and here comes Maria. So we've hit
goodness.
2 already, and then within 10 days, here comes the third hurricane going to Puerto Rico. And I thought, well, we won't go to Puerto Rico because we usually stay within the United States borders.
Uh-oh.
And then
Yeah.
as soon as it hit, Troy called me. I was in Miami. He said, I'm going to Florida or to Puerto Rico, and off he went. And so I came back here to get prepared for the human resource operation we were going to have.
So
Great.
you asked that question. I
Yeah.
remember what you
Yeah.
asked, how Glenn comes into this.
Yeah,
right?
how's Glenn come
So
into this?
in the Houston, the Corpus Christi area, we use 48 officers. Okay, that's still a fair amount of officers to get to call and can you take your 2 weeks vacation? You have some time to get them to come and help, right? And then Irma hit, and we used 86 more people there. So we're getting, I'm calling Glenn, I'm saying, Glenn, we need more staff. And he goes, I'm going as fast as I can. And so I need it yesterday, Glenn, and he came through every time. We get to Maria, and I used 148
Wow.
staff there. So 200 individual staff we used.
Wow.
And my company is one, that's me. Until these things hit, and then we expand. And Glenn helped that happen.
Yeah.
He made this happen for us, I'll
Yeah.
tell you.
So, what about Puerto Rico now? Where does it stand? Is it fully recovered? Are you in contact with some of
Puerto
the folks
Rico's
there?
not going to be fully recovered for many years to come. They've had about 50% of the power when I left this last month, and that was the easy 50%. The rest of the 50% is very difficult, and it may be another year or 2 years, and maybe never for some of the communities. When I left there, I talked to FEMA, and they had targeted 200 communities that will never get power again.
Wow.
They're just not going to take it back.
Mm.
And I get to thinking about that. My heart goes out because look at the little communities around here, and if somebody said, you'll never have power
Right.
again,
Right.
they have
That
to
just
uproot
uproots everything.
everything.
Yeah. So the power companies don't have the funds or resources to rebuild.
They don't. They were already in bad shape
Okay.
before,
Yeah.
and because they have to use fossil fuels to run their stations. That's all they can use. They lose money every year anyway.
Wow.
We got a hold of some of the people. Troy was dealing with FEMA, and one of the nurses said, I have a cousin at FEMA. And Troy said, what do you need here? And she said, well, there's many people can't get water here, so we need water badly. And about that time, Mike Moore called and said, my church wants to help. What can we do? And I said, water. And Mike and I came and talked with you also.
Right, yeah.
We generated some funds. I flew out there with a check for $5,000 to make sure that Troy could cover where it was going and it got where it needed to go, because some of the resources got hung up at the port.
Yeah.
Right.
So we went out there and Troy made a deal with Coca-Cola to buy the water direct. Then I flew out there and gave them those donations, bought the water direct, followed it to the warehouse that they had set up. And then we would go ahead and load up the water at night in 6 vans, and we would go to portions in Puerto Rico where FEMA hadn't got to. And we would go house to house and hand deliver
Wow.
the water
Wow.
to people that didn't have resources.
That's amazing, because a lot of times people are just satisfied with here's the money, I'm done with it. You guys followed through.
So
We
it's
have to see
more of
it
a
through.
mission trip as much as it is security
bet.
and
Yeah,
everything.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next? I mean, are you waiting for another disaster? Or,
I mean-
That's terrible, isn't it?
yeah.
That's terrible to think
Yeah.
that way. No.
Yeah. Well, you're waiting to help. That's what you're
We're-
doing.
You know, every day I was there, I prayed that please help us be able to help better, right? And so you don't know what that may lead you. And I've had a call this week from a company that is going to help distribute all of the block grants to the communities. And the government just let $10 billion out to Puerto Rico. But they want a third party to administer the grants to make sure of accountability. So I was called to ask to be the project manager for a lot of that, boots on the ground. We'll see. We're negotiating right
okay.
now
Well,
to
good.
see about that.
Well,
So,
that means you care about the work
And,
you've already laid down.
yeah, it's a
So,
way to maybe finish some of that.
That's good. Well, I appreciate you being
Yeah,
being
what a
here.
humanitarian
Yeah.
effort.
Well, I usually we'll have a segment here and we'll, promote what you do and give you a phone number and people contact you. I guess there's no need for that other than, we want to recognize you for sure.
The best way that people helped us from here and will continue is every time we're on one of these missions, lots of prayer.
Yeah,
And we feel that prayer, I'll tell you.
that's great. Well, we followed you, that's for sure.
And I want to thank you, and I want to thank the people that supported us and came up with those donations. We ended up getting
Yeah.
$10,000 in donations. Every bit of that went to water. It didn't go to administration. It didn't go to pay salaries. It didn't go to anything but
Yeah.
buying water. And then on our off time, we'd take and go deliver that water into, sometimes it was in hooded areas. Sometimes they carried water over power lines that were down to get to the house. People's homes were destroyed,
Yeah.
but they were smiling and thanking us for coming and giving them water.
Something simple.
Let me tell you about our local law enforcement just a second. They're there doing a job, but they went well beyond that. Between the Harrison PD and the Boone County Sheriff's Office, we were able to have Halloween parties for the kids who had missed it totally. We give out toys for Christmas. We did so much extra things because of them that they just said, we want to help. And that was amazing.
Good, great.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
And lots of blessings on anything that's coming up.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. And we're going to have you back on the next segment. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be talking with Glenn about the First Responder Awards Banquet, first ever
Yes, sir.
for this area.
First ever.
Much deserved and well needed. And we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Stay with us. You're watching 726.